Hi you guys, it's your girl Jo, and this is my first He's Worthy of 2023, but it'll also be my last He's Worthy. I thought I was coming on here to tell you guys about ships and relationships, and it's still about that, but it's just not about my story. I wanted to tie it in about this relationship that I had a couple years ago. We talked a lot about the journeys and where we wanted to go in life. He knew what my aspirations was. I know what his aspiration was. As a makeup artist, his first gift to me was a makeup set. And I took aspects of what he told me that he wanted or saw for himself in the future. And I made him a business shirt with his future business on it. And it was always like an awing feeling to see him wear that shirt with so much pride. Like you could tell that we were gifting or wanting to be a part of somebody's future, wanting to inspire each other to go for the gold. So my He's Worthy is not about that anymore. The scripture does not tie into that anymore, and it was purposefully. I think God wanted me to go into a different direction, but still wanted to show you that, because what I am about to talk about does talk about relationships. It talks about friendships. It talks about aspirations and goals and where you are in them and not giving up on where you're supposed to be. So in the midst of me looking at that relationship and trying to figure out what parts of it I wanted to share, God was like, you can share the beautiful parts. You can share the adventures in the middle. You can share the toxic ending, but I don't want you to share any of that. I want you to share how you felt. So I was in a relationship. We're inspiring each other. Things are happening as they usually do. But I was laying in my bed at night, literally saying, I miss who I used to be. Like, I miss that girl. And didn't understand while I was building a city that I was losing myself in the process. And that's what God wants me to talk about. For those of you who do know me, welcome back to He's Worthy. My name is Jodeci, and today's topic is the journey matters. So I know I don't have to go into too many scriptures and details to inform you about the Israelites and who they were. They were slaves in Egypt at this time, and God was getting ready to set them free. He had already assigned a leader to lead them from Egypt into the wilderness and into the promised land. When God is getting ready to release you from a situation, sometimes a job, a relationship, toxic friendships, He usually sends signs. Same way that He sent the Israelite signs. I needed Pharaoh to let my people go. Pharaoh refused. So every time you refuse, you see different signs still signaling you. It's time to go. It's time to leave. It's time to move forward. It's time to move on. But each time those signs are ignored, there will be more signs. And I'm encouraging you to don't wait till it's too late. Especially when you're uncomfortable, especially when you're feeling like it's not safe, especially when you're feeling like you're losing yourself. When it's time to go and God says it's time to go, you're gonna know. As I talk about this, I don't want you to only focus on romantic relationships because that's how I started it. I want you to see your family. I want you to see the members and the relationships that you have with them. I want you to look at your friendships and associates. I want you to see your work environments and the people that you're working closely with. I want you to see all aspects of your life when it comes to ships and relationships, because we will talk about it. The Israelites were living in Egypt, yes, but they never had citizenship. A lot of them had aspirations and goals and things they wanted for themselves, but they were so busy building up someone else's vision, someone else's dream, that they didn't have time for themselves. And if they even stood up for themselves, they were scared about how they would be looked at or treated. They were scared to offend because they said to themselves, oh, I can't leave. These are my family. I can't leave. And who wanted to leave? A lot of them were afraid to be alone. A lot of us are afraid to be in our singleness and not understanding that if we stay under the pillar of someone else, that we'll never know our own strength. Until we take the final steps, we'll never know what we are capable of as a single person, as a family unit, in a relationship. You have to take the steps. But God was showing them, I don't want my people to be in places that they're unappreciated. And he gave them a leader. He gave them signs that it was time to go, signs that I have someone to lead you to where I want you to be, signs that I have somewhere beautiful for you to be. I just need you to trust me, but don't trust me standing here. Trust me along the journey. My favorite prayer is, the Lord is my shepherd. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. God was showing the Israelites in that particular time that I am sending leadership. I am going to guide you along this journey, that you will not be alone. I'm going to make sure that you are provided for. And I'm also going to allow you to take some people with you. On the journey, yes. But along that journey, as you can see, a lot of persons were cut off. A lot of persons had to go. A lot of persons did not make it to the promised land, because God is showing you that I'm willing to take you to this new place. I'm willing to show you your heart's desire. I'm willing to give you freedom. I'm willing to give you success, but everyone cannot go with you. And it's because of their bad-mindedness. It's because of their negativity. It's because of their heart. It's because of their impatience. It's because you being with them at this point of your life, you being with them at this point in your journey, you keeping their company is going to hold you back from where I need you to be. It's going to hold you back from getting the experiences that I need you to have. It's going to hold you back from learning the lessons that I need you to learn. Because that when they pull back, you pull back. Because you want to be accepted. God said, be accepted by me. I can give you friends. I can give you relationships. I can change your life. I can give you success. I can give you a new job. I can create you the big family that you're looking to cling to. But God says, in this point in the journey, I need you not to be distracted. And it's because you're distracted that you keep seeing the same things over and over again. The Israelites, like, we passed this rock before, and we did. But God says that's because you didn't learn what you needed to learn the first way around. Something that should have been a small lesson, that should have taken a short amount of time, takes longer. 1, because we got the wrong mindset. 2, because we got the wrong people with us. 3, because we're not accepting the guidance and the leadership. 4, because we're complaining too much and not allowing God to do what he wants to do. God is in a process of making us ready for this position, for this relationship, for this family, for these friendships that he wants to put us in, for these partnerships, for this level of success, for this level of life, and we're not ready. So we keep repeating cycles. We keep repeating lessons. God said, I don't want that for you. I don't want you to keep looking back at who you used to be and wanting that. I want you to be able to look forward. Who you could be, who I have created you to be. I want you to look at that. I'll start in Exodus. If you look at the Israelites' journey through the wilderness, you could see it was met with a lot of negativity, a lot of conflict in their heart, wanting to turn back. God had already done so many miracles and gave them provisions to say that I will sustain you as long as you're in this. I know what you were in. God says, I know that this position right now is uncomfortable, but I've already promised you better. I need you to wait. I need you to trust me. The church that you were baptized in may not be the church that you worship in. Your high school sweetheart may not be your husband or wife. Your college degree may not be the career that you fall in. And your longest childhood friend could become your enemy. God says, please do not predict me. Life is unpredictable. I am unpredictable. His words is, your thoughts are far from my thoughts. Trust me in this journey. I know it's not easy. I know when you're out of a place and on the journey that it starts to get a little bit lonely. You start to miss the friends. You start to miss the provisions. You start to miss different qualities. No, I wasn't appreciated, the Israelites say, but I want to go back. This is uncomfortable. At least I had somewhere to lay my head. At least I had this. At least I had that. At least I felt a little bit safe. I feel vulnerable out here. And when you are alone, whether you're with the group of your kind or not, in that level of singleness, God says, I want you to trust me in your singleness, because I know what I took you out from. I know the dangers seen and unseen. So I need you to trust me here in this journey. I need you to know that it will be okay. I know that it's a lot to take in. I know you feel separated from what you're used to, but God says, trust that there's better in store for you. God, yes, you said there was better in store for me, but this thing that I'm in now, it's not comfortable. This thing that I'm in now, that you got me in now, it doesn't really feel like better. And you're not giving me a timeline on when I can come out of it. So God, are you really asking me to trust you when you won't even talk to me? Yes, you took me out, but when do I feel comfortable again? See, we get confused because Pharaoh chased after us. Relationships chased after us. Friends chased after us, wanting to talk to us again, wanting to be in our circle again. And we think that's love. We think that we belong. Yeah, he chased after us. God says not everybody chasing you wants to embrace you. They want to get you back because they're needing you to build their city. God says, I'm calling you to build their own. God says, yes, they're chasing after you, but that's not because they value you. That's not because they want to now give you citizenship. That's not because they now want to give you respect and equality. They're chasing you because they know what you bring to them. They know that you build up their city, and when you leave, they're going to have to do a lot of the work themselves. All of those things that you're putting into friendships, all of that encouragement, all of that work that you put in, and it feels like there is no reciprocity. For the Israelites, there was no reciprocity. There was only work. And while they were working, those men didn't have to, because I was using my gifts and my skills to build up you. So yes, Pharaoh, you're chasing me, but God is opening waters and shutting them tight because you're not where I'm supposed to be. I can only build you up for so long. I can only do this for so long. I can imagine God asking the Israelites, are you sure you want to be in Egypt? Because when you're in another man's land, you got to do what the other man says. When you're on board a ship, you got to do what the captain says. You're either the captain, the crew, or you. Passenger status. The passengers have no say on what happens on the captain's ship. See, what happens on the captain's ship, when you don't do what the captain says, you got to get off. And there are two ways to get off a ship. Either they dock and allow you off peacefully, or you walk the plank. I'll let you off peacefully, or you got to drown to get off. And in this case, God drowned the captain, because you're not about to do what you do to my people. You're not about to hold them captive and give them no reciprocity. No, not my people. Not in front of me. See, I don't know about you, but I serve Jonah's God. I serve a God that even when you throw me over, thinking you left me in a dark place, thinking you left me at the bottom of the sea, thinking you left me with no provisions, no hope, when you see me again, it's gonna look like it's as if you've seen a ghost, because I'm nowhere near where you left me, and I'm definitely not where you threw me over. My continent has changed. The way I worship has changed. The way I serve has changed. The way I see myself has changed. I started walking in obedience. Yes, I had to leave some friends, family, loved ones behind. I had to leave some partnerships and companies. But the crazy part about it is I was always supposed to get off the ship. You just thought you destroyed me. The signs were always there for me to go somewhere else, but because I was being stubborn, God made it a little harder. But look at your friends, family, relationships. Look at your partnerships and companies. Look what happens when the storm comes. Who gets the blame? God says, I'm causing storms because I want to cause separations. Because you got on board some things that I didn't agree with, and you know I didn't want you there in the first place. Or you got on board some ships, partnerships, and companies that at the time it was good for you, but God says it's time to get off. And I want you to know it's time to get off. See, when things happen in friendships, families, and relationships, you're looking at it like, God, what's happening? Am I causing this? Am I not doing my part? God says, you're kind of causing it in a way. because you aren't being obedient when I'm telling you to move. So God says, now I got to cause some storms in order to get you to move. You're not a bad person. Your family may not be a bad person. That person you're in a relationship may not be a bad person, but God says there are some things, some assignments. There are some storms that happen, and the storms cause separation. And it may seem in the separation that those persons are in a better position than you. That the people that the Israelites left in Egypt were in a better position than they were in the wilderness. That the people left on board the boat was in a better position than Jonah. But understand that you may feel along the journey that the people that you are separated from is living better lives than you. They're happier without you. They're moving forward without you. But God says it's not that they're in a better place than you. God says you're in a better place because you're actually in a journey. You're actually in transition. God says you're actually moving towards something great that I have for you. God tells us in relationships, friendships, partnerships, and companies and family that at one point you have to be willing to separate yourself and focus on me and focus on the journey that I have for you. God says my plans for you is to prosper you, not to harm you. So I know that you're feeling a lack of provision right now. Like they have more than you. And you're missing your provisional places. God says, I know that you're full of grief and you're missing one or two friends that you may have made. God says, I know that you're feeling like this journey is never ending and I'm never going to find another place to call home, another person to call mine, another person to call friend. I'm never going to find that bond that I had with my family or that acceptance that I had or felt in that company. I know that God scoffs and he says, the journey to the promised land would have been a little bit easier if you had seen the things that I wanted you to see a little bit earlier. If you had learned the lessons that I needed you to learn a lot quicker. And if you had actually been willing and committed to this journey. God says, I need your commitment to this process. And that's why I needed to separate you. Because friends, family, relationships, and companies was distracting you. God says, this is not for me. Yes, I get the glory, but you get the reward. And there are some things that I have for you. There is some land that I want to put your name on. There are some companies that I want you to be the forefront of. There are some ships that I want you to be the captain of. So you get to decide who comes on and who comes off. Because when you are on board other people's ship and in other people's land, when you were in those relationships, those friendships, those family ships, you were catering to other people. And you weren't being taken care of. God says, I want to give you your own. I want to give you something that you can take care of. And also that people will take care of. Like-mindedness, people will be around you. God says, I want to fill your company with like-mindedness people. People that would not cause you to go backwards. And in Judges, they went backwards. They went back to relationships. God, I'm tired of waiting on the promise that you have and just give me a relationship. So they were in partnership in other people's land and getting mistreated again. And God continued to have people pull them out. In the book of Exodus, the Israelites were exiting out of Egypt, and it talks about their process and the things that they went through upon leaving Egypt. In Leviticus, God was showing them law and offerings. And he was teaching them in the book of Leviticus. This is how you ought to serve. This is how you ought to operate. When you go into this level that I'm about to take you, these are the lessons that I want you to take with you. These are the things that I want you to adopt. These are the things that I want you to carry over. And these are the things that I want you to leave behind. In the book of Numbers, God was showing them to take inventory of who's around you. And also teaching them that everyone cannot go with you, even when they started out with you. If they become bad for business, you got to let them go, because when you become bad for business, people let you go. Who are we still letting in 2023 talk us out of our blessings? Who are we still letting in 2023 block us and distract us from our victories, from our promises, Yes, I like you, but you're distracting. You're negative, boo. I'm in love with you, but with you, I don't see me. With you, I don't see growth, health, or prosperity. With you, I don't see the way forward. I see me being that for you, but you're not being that for me. So yes, you think we're great together because I'm doing my part, but baby, when it comes to inspiring and nurturing me, you're not doing your part. And that's for friends, family, relationships, and companies. Who are we letting stop us in 2023? Got to stop and take inventory. Everyone cannot be on this journey. When the Israelites were in Egypt, they had wanted to be free. They had missed their old lives or the portion that they have lived, or hearing stories about what it was when they were free. And now they were suffocating, building up someone else's dream. But they were out of someone else's dream, on the path to their own successes in their own land, but now in the wilderness, wishing they could be back in Egypt. When I started this recording, I talked about being in a beautiful relationship, but looking back at my life, saying that I miss the girl that I was. And God says, I don't want you to be in the middle of this journey missing the girl that you once were. I want you to be looking toward the woman that I have called you to be. While the Israelites were in Egypt, they were busy building someone else's dream, not having time to focus on their worship, not having time to focus on their culture and who God had called them to be. And so God set them free. It just happened that they ended up in a journey, and that journey took place in the wilderness, and in the wilderness, they couldn't see forward. So even though they weren't being treated right in the past, they had wanted to go back. And just like the Israelites, I was missing the past me too, because the past me was working on herself. She was happy and vibrant and just becoming. And I felt like I was at a standstill, building something else or someone else that wasn't meant for me. And so I ended up in the wilderness too. The wilderness we call singleness. And I was like, hey God, this wilderness is not for me. Can you send me back to go build that thing I was building? This is a little bit lonely. This is a little bit uncomfortable. I'm not used to this. I'm not used to go. God, please. Can you send me back? God, I see you. I see what you're doing. I see the way you took me out. And at a moment I was being chased and you stopped that chase. So I guess I'm supposed to do it. I guess I'm supposed to do it like this. But then you were teaching me through some stuff where my bad habits were, where I wasn't trusting you in situations or wasn't trusting myself, where my insecurities and boundaries were. I saw you teaching me. Then you showed me to take inventory of who's around me. God, I took inventory. Now it's a little bit lonely. You said that there was something amazing out here for me, and I don't see the amazing, God. So now I'm ready to go back. Can you send me back, please? Oh, you closed up the Red Sea? Okay. Y'all, God is funny. Because in the book of Judges, the Israelites were wanting and asking God for some form of stability. And the book of Judges really talks about the consequences, God says, of not trusting me. The cycles that you end up back in. The toxicity that you end up back in. And every time you call for me, every time you ask me to come and get you, I will come and get you. But if you're not willing to go along with the process and you're ready for something else, God says, I'll give you something else just to show you again that you're not ready, that that's not where you're supposed to be, that I've already have a place cut out for you. Can you trust me to get you there? Because everywhere else will be uncomfortable until you do. See, what happens is we think that when God takes us out of a place, that when we end up next is our karma. we feel in that place like he's abandoned us, that he's taken us out of a place to leave us insufficient, to leave us without. God says, I will not leave you without. This journey, this wilderness, this looks like lack, but that's because I'm taking away the distractions. That's why it looks empty. That's why it doesn't look like there are much relationships here for you, or friends to get to know, or companies to be a part of, or partnerships to join. God says, I want it to be empty because I want your focus. God says, I'm removing things so that you could focus on me. See, we were trying to make up shop and build homes in the wilderness. We were trying to start families in the wilderness. We were trying to find relationships in the wilderness. God says, I don't want you aboard any ships right now. That's why it's so quiet here. God says, I want your focus right now because I want to show you you. I want to show you the you that I created. I don't want you focused on the past. God says, trust me in the present. I got your future. Your future is toward me. If you read your word, it says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. That's what that's what the wilderness is for. That's what the singleness is for. That's what the quietness and the isolation is for. That's what the drop-in friends is for. That's why the good relationship turned out so negative. God says, I needed to be able to pull you away. And if that's how I had to do it, then that's how it needed to be done. I'm doing it for you. God says, I'm not trying to withhold anything from you. I'm not trying to withhold anything from you. The only thing that I'm trying to do is get you to a place in your life where everything is good quality. That every person that approaches you as the man or woman that I called you to be. So that means they have to come correctly. That every family member, every friend, every relationship, now, past or future, will respect you. That you won't be building them up, that they will also add to you. God says, I'm trying to take you to a place of reciprocity. I'm trying to take you to a place where you deserve, because you've been in undeserving relationships. You've been in undeserving places, and you've been underserved. God says, you are mine. God says, and because you are mine, you have to understand that my intentions are not to mislead or destroy you. That I have the best intentions for you. And I know that you feel just like the Israelites, that you're going around and round in circles again, year after year, the same conflicts, the same situations. God says, because like the steeplechase, you have to jump over waters and you have to jump over hurdles, and you're not clearing them properly. And God says, like a good coach, whenever you don't clear them properly, I'm not putting you on the Olympic team. I'm not advancing you, God says, because you still have work to do. So trust me, if you see the cycles repeating in your life, that there's still some work for you to do. But please also trust me that when you are ready, and that when I see that you are working on perfecting those things, that I will advance you. God says, you're seeing the same situations pop up in your life. Feeling like, God, I just went through this last year, and I just went through this in my last relationship, and I just went through this with my last set of friends, and I just went through this in my last workplace. God, what's happening? God says, I know you keep seeing the same stones year after year, saying to me that I've already been this place. God, why am I here again? God says, because the wilderness is a place of perfection, and I'm trying to perfect you. I'm trying to show you where your boundaries are not, and I'm asking you to build them up. That's why I'm giving you the right way to do things, and I need you to listen and stop trying to move ahead and before me, because the lessons you skip are the lessons you're gonna need. So please don't try to rush past this thing. Imagine that you're the son or a daughter of a wealthy man, and about 6 years old, he shows you this car and he says, this is yours. But he also says, I can't give you the keys yet, because you know, as a small child, when adults or other people hand for things, you, without thinking, hand it over. Some kids are selfish, but they hand it over. God says, if I give you this thing now, you're going to put the keys in the wrong hands. And you're going to put the keys in the hands of relationships or friendships that you're trusting right now, but they aren't really meant for you. They're only there to take what's in your hand. So God says, I can't give you these keys right now. And at 12 years old, when you're learning to ride a bike, you're still like, Daddy, can I get the keys to this Bugatti? And Daddy says, no, I need you to learn how to ride the bike first. Daddy says, I can't give you the keys to this Bugatti now, because if you get behind this wheel at this level of maturity, not knowing how yet to ride the bike first, you're going to get hurt. You're going to destroy what I have for you. You're going to hurt somebody. God says, and that's not what I want for you. I want you to be at the right age and stage, not to hand over the gifts to people who are only looking for your gifts. I want you to have the maturity to be able to sit behind the wheel. I want you to have a level of responsibility. I want you not to destroy the thing that I have kept for you, because it is yours. God says, just wait patiently. I'll know when the time is right to give you the Bugatti. Imagine the Bugatti being the promised land. And God says, I cannot put the Israelites behind this wheel right now. Because if I put them behind it with the immature mindset, if I put them behind it with certain people in their crowd, then they're going to destroy it or destroy themselves in it. I want to put them when they're clear-minded. I want to put them when they know the rules. I want to put them there when they understand that they have a responsibility to maintain the fruitfulness that I have placed in their hands. I want you to know what you're getting, but I also want you to have the values to appreciate it. God says, I'm building appreciation, and I'm building the boundaries to protect it. From this message, I want you to be able to take away two things. One is to recognize when you're in the wilderness, and the second is to not recognize the wilderness as a bad thing. The wilderness does look a little different than what we're used to. It is a little more quiet. It is a little more difficult to be in because we are in training mode. We are in discipline mode. We are in the mode of learning. It's like being in a library. You can't have too many distractions here because God is opening up some doors, and He's opening up some things to you. And He's opening you up to the version of you that He would like you to be. And the wilderness is not a bad place, because being here means that you're getting ready for there. You're not in a comfortable place. God says you're in a period of discomfort. What happens when you're not paying attention to the lesson? You're going to get the whole answer wrong. What happens when you don't get the order right? Or you don't hear a portion of the order because you're so distracted? You're going to have to do it again and again and again. And God says, I'm not picking on you. I promise you I'm not picking on you. I just need you to get this right. It's important for your life to get this right. It's important for where I'm taking you to get this right. God says, I know you want your relationship. But God says, I can get you relationship, but I can't get you this time back. I need you to focus right now. I can get you friends, but I need you to focus right now. This is the time. And if you miss this opportunity, you may not get it back. I laughed because I could already imagine God saying, look at you with the blessings at 50 that I had for you at 23. I would be so hurt. I would be so hurt. So God, take my relationships. They ain't making no sense. I'm not putting up the right boundaries. Go ahead. Because I can't afford to miss my blessing in love. Because I keep getting it wrong and I'm not paying attention and I'm not seeing my mistakes or the lesson. I can't afford to keep going through dramatic circles of friends because I didn't pay attention to your lesson in toxicity. And I didn't wait for the friends that you had for me. God, I can't. I can't be out here hustling. Hot sun, high heat. Just because I didn't take the lessons when you were saying, hey, Joe, slow down. Because that gift you have, I want to give you a company. I want to give you your own company. I was so busy in my wilderness looking for a job, trying to hustle to make things right, that I didn't understand that you were trying to get me to perfect my gifts, like COVID-19 make entrepreneurs out of all of us, because we didn't slow down enough to see what was in. God says I had to slow you down because I wanted your options limited so you can see what was already in you. God says the wilderness was to slow you down because I saw you working hard in the fields of others. And I saw you try to build skyscrapers in other people's cities. And I saw you pouring out yourself, but there was no reciprocity. God says the journey matters. It matters because I'm about to show you who you are in me. God says the journey matters because I want to add some things to you. I want to show you who you are supernaturally. I want to show you who you couldn't be when you were tied to these people. I want to show you who you are when you have to defend yourself because you don't feel like you're able to operate without others. I'm going to show you that you can exceed. The journey matters. Do not skip that part. How do you go from toxic relationship to your soulmate? You're going to take so much drama and trauma. God says, I'm going to show you your boundaries. I'm going to show you the parts that you need to work on yourself. I'm going to show you how to recognize signs of negativity, how to cope and release. God says, I'm going to show you how to take inventory. I'm going to give you the skills you need to make it through this. I'm going to give you the skills to put your foot down, and I'm going to give you power and authority. Here comes the good friends. Here comes good company. Here comes how you actually handle that family. Don't skip the journey. God wants you and me to not despise the journey. For some of us, he's going to pull us out of the world for a moment and into the classroom. And out of the windows, we're looking at the world and we're looking at our friends and our lovers just move on. We're looking at our family have a great time without us. And we're wanting to be where they are. God says, if you know what happens on graduation day, you could have that and more. And the respect and reciprocity that comes along with it. God says, give me your attention right now. Give me your attention in the classroom you're calling a wilderness. And I promise you, when you walk out of here, they're going to want to come where you are. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jodeci. And I'm not just telling you about the wilderness. God had a special design wilderness for me. And it wasn't until July of 2023, I'm talking last month, you guys, that I walked into my house and I finally heard God said, you're done. I cleaned my ears. I said, really? You say you're done? Please don't get scared when I use the word wilderness. Because my wilderness has been about separation so that I could see my worth and my value and the guards that I needed to pull up and the boundaries that I needed to set with friends, family, loved ones, and relationships. I needed to put some distance between me and other persons because they were receiving more from our connection than me. And God says, this is the heart I gave you. But I need you to use that heart strategically. When I say the wilderness, I'm not saying that I was trapped in the place and could not get out of, because I was excelling and accomplishing things. But the areas in my life that God knew that I wanted, he was withholding from me or showing me, here's the relationship. Okay, you didn't set up boundaries. You understand? It is a little uncomfortable. It is a place that you have to go in for yourself, because in order to really see what you need to work on and why you need to work on it, it requires no distractions. So yes, I was accomplishing things, but no one barely saw me. I wasn't able to be distracted at that time, because the areas in my life that were really, really complicating me were areas that I still had to do extra homework in, and I was still being tested in. And God didn't stop until I got it right, or until I finally decided to let some things go. He will ask you to do inventory. The journey does matter. And when it's all said and done, you will feel a sense of relief and a sense of appreciation and a sense of peace. I will never tell you that it's going to be easy, but I can tell you the rewards that are in that for you and the outcome, how beautiful that is. You don't want to mess it up in situations, especially that there are no reciprocity. Journey matters for you and me. And I promise you, whatever it is, I'm holding on to it with everything that God has taught me. I'm holding on to it with everything that God has taught me.